Alright, we're back. And I'm looking at my frame rate and everything else. Let's see what it does. We're just gonna take a minute. Sometimes OBS does that too. But usually when Bitchin' Betty stops talking and that happens, it means there's a problem on my end.
Stream Elements said the Busy Builder is now live. Streaming Just Chatting, Academy M997 and events details and paint. Leo 2A7DK said heard that line before.
That's what she said. There's a little flashlight here. Does that have to go someplace? But we got another 50 cal to put in the scrap box. Those are always helpful.
Leo 2A7DK said think of it. You must have a pretty fleet of HMWVs by now.
I have 5 completed. This being number 6. And 7, 8, and 9 are all over here waiting. So, back doors are going to be open. Do we have open front doors too? Even though I'm not detailing up anything in there? I'm not really detailing up anything anywhere. Yeah, fuck it, why not? So yeah, we'll have 9. We're good through to January as far as, yeah, actually January or February now. And actually I get VA check and paycheck, so this week we might order the Bronco 1114. And that way we can do one with everything open, the doors, the back hatch, and the hood. The Bronco one actually comes with an engine. Or a detailed engine bay, I should say. At least I'd like to get the Bronco one. Not that I'm going to have it closed, I just want to make sure that if I did have to, it would match up pretty well. Yeah, we'll do them open though. That can go in the garbage.
Leo2A7DK said some of the SF ones were .50 and 30 calories, AT4s, and otherwise stripped are totally awesome.
That's kind of what I'm thinking of for the Stinger. And like I said, we'll take, once I get some other things glued on, we'll give everything a minute to set up before we start painting. And we'll do a little, we'll do another Humvee history segment using the Bushmaster and the Stinger as examples. Unless y'all find that stuff boring and then we can skip it, but I think you'll like it. Because the main misgiving on the Stinger Humvee is that the actual Stinger launcher is fictional. There are ones similar to it out there, but they only have 2 missiles and some other major differences. But there's never been a 4 missile launching Stinger thing, you know? In that way. There's the Avenger Humvee, which is the enclosed launchers. But in the way the kit depicts, it never existed. Which makes me reluctant to want to use the Stinger launcher period on it. However, the Verlinden set gives a more modern radio, the radio shelves, the speakers, the seats, better seats. It gives tires, a lot of other photo etch bits, and mirrors. The mirrors that were installed in the middle of the 90s, so the larger ears that they have on them. Not this type, but that type. So that being the case, it would allow me to maybe do a little research on some more specialized vehicles and see if I could cobble something together. I've got some pictures of a couple of customized ones. I just don't know if I'd want to go as far as they're taking it. Our connection seems excellent now that I've done that reset. There's always the Israeli ones. They have the custom-made roll bars and roll cages that they mount the turret rings to. I've got a few spare turret rings. This one I'm kind of looking at, and I found this 50 cal mount for cheap.
Leo2A7DK said Danish Army made a test vehicle on the M113, a turret with a 25mm Oerlikon cannon, and stepped the payload pushers. Some made it to X2 though, but then it died. But also with a downside armor.
Are you talking about the... It went by a different name. It was an M113 chassis, but the upper hull was different. Like, the front end was the same, but the back, they'd notched it, and then they put a turret on it. Similar turret to what's on the Lynx in German service. But let me take a picture of this, because we might be able to do something like this with the Stinger version. I just need better pictures of it. So there's this. Look how the 50 cal's mounted. It doesn't need a rotating ring. And I've actually found that particular mount on eBay. I could probably print one off too. And there's another type where it's got a ring on a roll cage with a 40 mil grenade launcher. Yeah, I'd have to do some researching and see if I can find something interesting. But that's kind of the idea I want to do with the Stinger one, is I want to do something not normal. You know, I want to do something a bit more eccentric with it. Okay. But I'm going to take a quick break. It's been over an hour, and nature's calling. So I will be right back. Alright, I'm back. Okay, where were we? I think I was just giving this a final going over before I got ready for paint. This we'll put in that box. Okay. So yeah, let's let this set up for a moment. And we'll have another Humvee history segment. So we will start with the Tamiya Bushmaster one. So here's what I was talking about, turret rings and stuff. I've got extras, so I can make what I need. I'm having a hard time finding pictures of this beast online, but as this kit is out of the box, it's actually, aside from the tires being disgusting, you could say it's 100% correct for what they were able to show. What was that? I have a feeling that part is important, so I need it back. There we go. Yeah, that's part of the vision system. So, but I want to show you how you can tell the difference, because typically, at least now, when Tamiya releases a kit, hey Frank, if the plastic is from another manufacturer, they have to put it on the box. Nowhere on this box from the from 1989 does it say that the kit is molded in Italy using the Italeri kit. Even on here. So this has led to a long history, I should say, of people thinking that the Tamiya kit is so wonderful. It's not bad, you know. But you would get reviews in the same magazine, right? Where someone is reviewing the Stinger kit, let's say. So someone reviews this kit, and they'll say things like, "Oh, typical Italeri. The plastic is a bit crude. It's not as refined, you know." But as soon as the Tamiya one's built, they gush all over it. It's the same base Humvee kit. So it goes to show you how much the name can really change a person's outlook on something. That smells musty. So typical glass, same one you'll find in the Italeri Commando version, or the Desert Patrol version. But as you can see, same plastic as the other one, even down to the missing divots, which, like I said, is correct for this vehicle. The only notable difference that I've seen people make a big deal of is this bumper with 4 holes in it. It's correct. That's not good for a production one, but if you're doing this version, this is correct. I've seen one picture of it, all olive drab, and there's 4 holes in the front bumper. So, I think the only difference I'm gonna do when I do this one is there's this back plate. You notice what's missing? I'm going to use the Academy backplate. I think it's physically the same, but it has AM General in it with the appropriate riveting. You'll find them with and without that as well, but for the prototype I believe it had AM General embossed in the rear plate. Let me find that picture. I could be wrong though. It did. So, but if you look at the plastic, you can kind of see it's not as smooth and polished. It's got kind of a texture to it, right? Close this window. You know, it's passable. Paint will cover it, no big deal. But you can see it's not as refined on this side where it won't be showing, right? Same with this sprue. It's the same plastic. But by comparison, look at how nice the parts tooled up by Tamiya look. A little more polish, a little more finish, a little cleaner. You can notice a difference in the sprues as well. A bit more stout. The part number callouts are a bit larger. But yeah, let me check this against this. Oh, come on, let go. Because it should be dimensionally the same. Academy essentially copied the Italeri parts breakdown and added more detail. Yeah. It's the same. So you build enough of these and you start to get parts together to correct other ones. As far as paint schemes, if you use the 4-hole bumper, the only picture I found has it completely olive drab. By the time it wore this paint scheme, this is the modular camo, the modular environmental camo. That it could have had the 4-hole bumper still. By the time it had this one, they had changed it out for a 3-hole. And that's just a little bit of info if you're wanting to make one more correct than not correct. Hold on. Got the face fuzzies. So yeah, we're probably going to do this one. I don't know, what do you want to see first? This one, which would be a quicker build, or the Stinger one, which I'm really not sure exactly what I want to do with it yet. The Italeri box is junk, so I've just put everything into an Academy box top for it. But as I was saying, same plastic, same plastic, same. I've got a resin bumper winch, or a. And it's weird they included it in this, since this is before the 10 series came out. this kit also has a bumper winch. So there's a lot of good extras that come in the Stinger kit. You've got M60, a couple M16s, some helmets, which individual helmets are difficult to come by. But the actual Stinger weapon system in it is... it's fictional. It's not quite right. You just missed more Bushmaster history. Okay, let me get more music going here. Excuse me.
At the model student 20 said Stinger Suite.
Well, no, I'm going over on what I want to do with this. I may disregard the Stinger unit itself since it's made to be like a deployable standalone thing. So, and it's completely fictional. There are ones like it where you've got the seat and you got 2 Stinger missiles and a targeting assembly, but as it's shown in the kit, it doesn't exist. But somebody, I think it was Leo, had suggested possibly making it just like a one-off customized commando version, or like kind of like the old Scud Hunters, stuff like that. And the only real correction I noted for the... Wow, can I speak correctly today? As it is out of the box, the Bushmaster is 99% correct. The only real thing that you got to look out for, depending on how you present it, because somebody could get a bit, you know, that's not right. This bumper is correct. However, if you want to make it picture correct, depending on which picture you look at, you may need a 3-hole bumper. Because when it was wearing the 3-color camo, it had the 3-hole bumper. When it had this one, it was all olive drab. And the only other thing I noticed was missing, and I've got the extra from this ambulance one, is the AM General on the tailgate was missing. Which Academy has on theirs, if autofocus wants to behave, which normally doesn't. There. Oh, come on, you. Anyway, the piece is exactly the same as the Italeri piece, so I'm just going to use that instead. You know, yeah, the 4-hole isn't wrong, but just be mindful that somebody might look at it and go, "Eh, you've got the wrong bumper." Yeah, the 4-hole bumper is correct. It was on it. It just wasn't on it for very long. See? Oh, I know. I've got the same kit. The photo etch set I've got coming has it. Production ones you'll find it with or without it, so it's no big deal, but depending... I know accuracy isn't your thing, but I'm just giving you... I'm just giving you some response ammo in case somebody says something. I think we're ready to start throwing paint now. I just want to check one more fit. Okay. Good. Excuse me. No, just nothing irks me more than when you're building something and somebody comes along and, well, why didn't you do that? Because I didn't want to. So, for that, give me 1 second. I can help you out there a little bit. Just give me one moment. Ah. So Vallejo, I believe, makes a... Yeah, Vallejo makes a desert MERDC, or Murdic, as some people call it, set. These are the colors you'll want to match. I'm going to send you a link to X, but it's just for the picture. I'm not on X, so don't try and contact me there anyway. But I don't think your scheme is wrong. I don't think that desert scheme is actually wrong. The time it was being tested, that would have been applied to it. The earlier prototype with the more curved hood... Wow, okay. So just copy that and it should take you. Really? Just copy that and put it in your browser. That'll take you to a Humvee in that camo. The only drawback of that is posting a link. So essentially it's going to be sand, flat earth with buff and black crow's feet. So, but what I was saying is the time it was being tested, the earlier version with the older prototype hood was actually wearing the summer variation of that camo. Where am I? No, but I'm just showing you that, yes, they wore it for a very short time, and those are the colors you want, or anything close. And let me see. Now this one, it's also wearing a turtleback, but you can clearly see the summer version of that camo, which is forest green, a lighter olive green with black and sand crow's feet.
Leo2A7DK said you actually made different note schemes right. Like multi-cam black, green, and you go.
Hi, Allie. So it's hard to see in the picture, especially since it's a picture of a picture. Ooh, I'm gonna have to see if that's there. But you can see there's two different greens in the crow's feet. Are you chewing on me? You're being a brat now. Yes. Give me a minute and I will get you your standalone box top. You know, I honestly don't know if the test one had visors. I think they were a newer thing. See? Are you happy? You have box. So you could research the summer version of that camo, and you would just have to put the forest green and whatever the lighter green is, the brighter green. It's all up to you. I'm still trying to decide what I want to do with mine, because I don't want to do an 803 color on it. I think I've got enough, and this is also going to be that, so that's going to be, you know, a big blob of green. I was thinking of doing the green and brown version of that camo, where it's the forest green, flat earth with the black and sand. I mean, we don't know if it wore it or not. I can't get... The only pictures I can find are the 4 that are out there. I'm sure if I dug deeper, somebody would have more. But I've got 2 of the test type vehicle wearing the summer version. And then I've got 1 of the newer variant where they have the square-backed roof with the actual Bushmaster. And then there's the current one that's set up in the kit in NATO 3 color. So I could probably put the 4-hole bumper on it, paint it in either of those schemes, and go. I don't know. There's nothing to say it's wrong, but there's nothing to say it's right either. And I don't want to be... I just don't want people bugging me about it. Because, trust me, I get it. Yeah. It be like that. But even with that camo, there is a standardized pattern, but it's up to you if you want to follow it. I just figured I'd give you that one link so you can see that, yes, for a very short time, Humvees did wear it, and there's your proof. Anyway, back to my paint. And the Great Destroyer has joined us.
At B model student 27 face with tears of joy emoji. You've got me on a bit of a Humvee thing. Grinning face with sweat emoji. Thumbs up emoji.
Did I do that? Am I close to my microphone and it's kind of dropping out? Sorry.
Leo2A7DK said one highway beside of it. Simplify. No more cluster.
Well, that's just it. The events of Grenada predate the Humvee's existence. At least in service.
At B model
No worries. I mean, look who you're talking to. People at work always ask me, how do you know this stuff? I'm like, you don't want to know.
Leo 2A7 said that was the M151, right?
Yep. And what's funny is the 151 wasn't retired until well into the 2000s, I want to say. So they served alongside of each other. When the fuck did I paint red with this? Why am I getting red out of my airbrush?
At B-Model Student 20 said, I remember first seeing one in person. Love
I remember seeing him in books and magazines, right? And then I went to, I think it was the IPMS Nationals of '89, and they had one. They had the 40 mil one on display, all opened up. Every door panel, if it could open, it was opened. They had one of those on display in the main lobby. I think it was '89. And then later that summer, could have been shortly after, I went to the flea market in my hometown, and the army was there on a recruiting drive, and they had just your regular just your regular soft top version. Yeah, right, 2 years ago. It felt like that. It did. But they had the regular 4-door version, and next to it was a Chaparral. Okay. I want to say, I'm sorry for getting sidetracked. That's another reason I started early today, so I could have time to screw around.
At B-Model Student 20 said, my butt has a 70 to 72 C10 Jeep 4x4 pickup. It's a beast zombie killing machine with hair short.
It was either 89 or 90. No, that was Jacksonville. I remember it being down in Miami. I don't know. My brain may be playing tricks on me. I am old. Well, you're one to talk. And I did not thin this paint. The last time I used it was for the passenger compartment on the Galileo. Could have sworn I thinned this stuff. Wherever the convention was, I remember I got a 72nd scale Halcyon dropship at it, and at the time somebody was making a resin APC to fit inside it, which I also had. I no longer have them, unfortunately. But that's okay. Not too worried about getting all back in here, because you're never going to see down there. Well, if Norway's got a ground-based AMRAAM, it might be the one mounted on the Humvee. I still think it's funny that the Germans could make the Gepard work, but we couldn't make the Sergeant York work? Now it's spraying good. Actually, model student, now that I come to think of it, I think I have one picture of this thing, of this ambulance type, wearing that older scheme, the older camo scheme. Looks like it anyway. Because right when this entered service is when they were transitioning from the older style scheme to the NATO 3-color standardized one.
said Sergeant York. Like I told you about Danish army. We used a ton of money to make it the M41 DK1. Bragging engine. Just before they actually made it
Yeah.
they scrapped it for the bigger and louder Leg 1A4.
I think I remember reading something on that. But I think that was more for compatibility. Because at the same time, we had the M60, the British had the... I want to say the Chieftain was entering service then, or was fully in service by then. The Challenger hadn't yet entered service. You got the Leopard 1, M60, Chieftain. I think logistically they all had similar requirements and ammo requirements too. And the M41, even updated, would have been kind of out in left field. And it would have required its own specialized supply unit for it. So I can kind of see that within NATO's, the reason being. But just like when I was in the Air Force, we had to go and, you know, paint and refit our dorms, right? We put up like wainscoting and things like that on it. You know, tried to make the dorms look prettier because we were living in them. Only for them to a month later say, "Okay, we're moving out. You're moving to different buildings that are brand new. We're going to tear down everything you just did." So it is not at all uncommon within the military circles to spend money on something. Well, logistics isn't always the 100% reason, but it's one of the reasons. The Abrams cannot fire German ammunition. Still 120 smoothbore, still based on the same basic design. Abrams can't shoot it. There's something slightly different with the US ammunition that makes the German ammunition incompatible with US systems. They may have changed it, I don't know. Does the Leopard have the, I never researched it, the Leopard ammunition, is it solid casing, or is it the casing that burns up when it fires? Alley girl. Okay, so it's not that. Yeah, I don't know exactly what the difference is, and like I said, it's something they may have fixed or changed it since. But for the longest time, yeah, the Abrams could not fire German ammo. I don't know if the same was the other way around, but yeah. The weird thing, however, is if you look at the MBT-70 program back in the 70s, that's when all three countries were trying to make the next main battle tank that everybody would use across the board. The program ultimately failed, but if you look at what they were developing and what they wanted, each country took essentially its ideas and made their own tank anyway. That program gave rise to the Abrams, the Leopard 2, and the Challenger. All three of which are very similar, obviously not exactly the same, but they all differ in certain areas. Like, I remember the Americans were really pushing for the turbine motor on the MBT-70. What do we have on our Abrams? The other two wanted diesels, which they both kept. I think there was talk of the 120mm at the time, and they all eventually got it. However, the British retained a rifled barrel, which again causes logistical issues. I think the one thing they're all glad they didn't keep was that weird rotating commander's cupola that was independent of the vehicle, or was it the driver? Either way, it would cause vertigo. But the MBT-70 was a weird beast. Ah! I think it's living down in Georgia now. It was up at Fort Knox for the longest time. Might as well shoot the underside of this since we got this color loaded up. I don't want to waste too much of it painting the outside until I have all that glued together and sealed up. And there's going to be some seam fixing to do still, so... Trying to be a bit more economic with the paint right now. That is more, I hate to say it, that's cultural. Look at the nature of the countries that call for that specific doctrine. They don't give a shit about people. And right now, Russia's problem, so I'm using them specifically because the Soviet Union is what developed things like the T-55 and T-62, which then led on to the T-72 and T-80 series. They're stuck with the design philosophy. They're stuck with the tooling, the thought process behind it. They've tried thinking their way out of it. Look into the debacle that became the so-called T-14 Armada. The idea is interesting, but if it's so great, why haven't we seen it in use yet? Because they haven't made any. There's a lot of it has to do with culture, a lot of it has to do with technology as well.
RS_Studios said you have all this knowledge, and here I'm thinking I like trains.
Well,
RS_Studios said,
and this is just my point of view as well, guys. This isn't... I could be totally wrong on some of this. Some of it's what I've read and looked up, but I could be totally wrong on some of it too. So obviously, take what I say and research it. Don't take it as gospel, please. But the Russians now, militarily at least, are just now catching up to what we were putting out in the 80s. And what we were putting out in the 80s was designed in the 60s and 70s. But even since World War II, I want to say, we've always put more of an emphasis on crew survivability and vehicle recovery because we know these things ain't cheap. People especially are, you just can't replace them overnight. You gotta train them, and if you lose enough of them, you gotta wait for them to get old enough. So yeah, we have more of an emphasis on crew survivability because we give a damn about our people for the most part. The Soviet Union and Communist China didn't. So they don't care if they use a design that's so old and so decrepit that the crew burns alive when it's hitting the turret ring. And like I said, they've just now started trying to make newer tanks that don't do that, but they're far behind when it comes to other technologies that made that possible for us a long time ago. I think the Abrams that we've given to Ukraine and the ones that we left to Iraq were basically, armor-wise, they're no better than the M60. Because they had the Chobham aspect removed from it. The depleted uranium mesh and everything else that made that armor, everything that made that armor work was removed. Not to say that it's not still effective, but it's not as effective as what we've got. Yeah, this paint's way over thinned. That's okay. It doesn't matter if they got fast missiles, our systems have already defeated the capabilities of those missiles. Yeah, and that's the big issue, because look at the T90, right? Strip the T90 of all of its pretty lights and armor blocks and everything else, you know. Get rid of the red sensors on the front. I know they're not used much now, but they were. Strip a T90 down, what do you have? The T90 is the T72 with different armor. That's all it is. There might be some minor differences here and there, but essentially it is a T72 with a new name. Because the T72 got its ass handed to it so badly in '91, the Russians couldn't sell any on their arms market, so they had to redevelop and rename it. They called it the T90. And now it's showing just how bad it is as well. And the other aspect of that is look at a lot of the countries using it and the people using it. Russian military doctrine is not like ours. I've talked about it before. They are trained that, and yeah, they don't have the communist system in place anymore, supposedly, but they still act like it. They are trained, you need to take this objective 100 miles away by 3:30 a.m. Let's say, what's today's date? The 28th of October. It's doable. But all they know is we need to get there, secure that, and it doesn't matter if it's 1 tank or 50 tanks, they just need to get there and secure it. They will throw every man they've got at it. Instead of saying, well, hold on, How can we do this? What are the other ways? They don't try and think of other ways. That's why you always see these Russian armored columns moving right back through minefields and areas where 2 days before the rest of their shit just got taken out. Because they don't think differently. They're not allowed to think differently. I know it wasn't as much for the Air Force, but for the Army and Marines it applies. We train for chaos. We train for when shit goes wrong. And that scares the hell out of everybody else. Because if things go right, we do it, we're bored, we actually become complacent. Shit goes wrong, there's your proverbial dogs of war doing what they need to do, and you don't want that. They are. They really are. People have been shot for failing at less in the Russian military. And the Chinese military. Not that they've really done much. And they always say, oh, we have these systems and these things that are equal to your American versions. Where are they? Where's your MICLIC? Where's your mine clearing devices? Their mine roller and mine plow is nothing compared to the ones we've got. Ours is far away enough from the vehicle that if it gets hit by something, the vehicle's not damaged and you're just fixing a plow. Theirs attaches to the vehicle right in front of the front idler wheel on the track. What happens when that goes off? You're blowing the track off, too. Okay, I'm going to have to look at real pictures for painting the interior on this. I really don't feel like painting, though. I want to build something more. Yeah, I'd really like to let this dry, too. I don't know, what do you guys think? Move on to something different? I don't want to start another one. I've got too many boxes of Humvee parts going as it is. But, yeah, I'd like to just get this dried and cured and ready for the next step, I think. What else could I work on? What have I got that I haven't tinkered on? I feel like just gluing stuff together right now. Or assembling. I don't feel like painting a lot. Why are you laughing? Thing is, once I can get the basic vehicle, I won't be buying other Humvees, but I will be buying like this and the other carriers and shelters and the ability to mount them properly. Well, yeah, I've got the Bushmaster, the 1151, and the Stinger right there. Hey, George. Yeah, so we're not wrapping up, but I'm just trying to reconfigure here. I don't know, what else could I work on? What else could I work on? that I don't have to paint.
I want to get some of the expansion kits and make some runs. A 213 said move on to something new.
I'm not getting burnt out on these. I just don't want to. I've got till the end of November for this one, so I'm just making sure it turns out okay. What can I work on? What can I work on?
Leo 2A7DK said he must be somehow glad that it is such a big country, but I really hope his people wake up at some time. None said.
Are you talking about Vlad the Impaler? So, Allie, I need this box. Actually, let's get the paints out of there. I might need them for something else.
At P Models 220 said no hurry, no worry.
I think I am going to have fun with the Bushmaster, though, because it'll be straightforward. I'm not doing any resin or photo etch. Well, I am doing resin. I'm getting wheels for it. So I'll order those probably this week. The Stinger's going to be fun in that I'm going to be going a little crazy detailing it up more. Sorry. That's too big for the box either way. Hey.
Leo 2A7DK said some spoon shells on the roof. At P Models 220 said it's nice to have a backstash of kits when you need hits just to do something different.
Yeah, I just gotta figure out what that is. Maybe I can build the two suits that came with the Nutcracker. Come on. Allie, come on. Come on, Chunk. There you go, Meat Chunk. So we'll get back to that on Friday, I think. So give me 1 second. I'm going to pause and take a move around break too while I'm at it. So give me a few moments.
At P Models 220 said new chunk. Rolling on the floor laughing emoji.
Alex, you had to tip me when I was away from keyboard, didn't you? Thank you very much for that. I do appreciate it. Okay. Trying to remember which one of these I started with for the current suit I'm building. I think it was this one. Yeah. So we'll finish up the Gustav, and then we'll work on the Melusine. But thank you very much for that, Alex. So on the Gustav, do we want sci-fi helmeted pilot, or do we want German-inspired helmeted pilot? And I forgot to see if I could even get the torso in there. Whoopsie! I'm sorry about that, but thank you very, very much for that. Everybody's bits and tips and subs and all that help on Kick and Twitch. YouTube can't do much about until I can get 2,400 more watch hours. I think I'll have 1,000 subscribers before I can do that. But the more people you got subbed, the more people are watching in. I hope.
Leo2A7DK said this is always fun, busy. Never forget that.
I try and keep it that way. I know I have some days where I'm not myself, but that's not because of you guys. It's not because of anything in that regard. It's just some days you're just feeling off. And when that happens, it does take a bit of time to kind of get that equilibrium back. So next stream day I can be confident in will be Friday. Sunday after, I don't know if I will be able to stream, as there's a couple things that day. Yeah, we're not 19 anymore, exactly. Okay, I'll look in a moment. Yeah. RE Studios is currently printing off the Event Horizon. I have the files as well, but it is something he wanted to do first. So I'm using the fact that I could easily start printing it right now as motivation to keep him going. That looks really nice. He's doing his at almost 4 feet long. So he's got it scaled up 200%. I'll be doing mine at just around 2 feet long. But that does look really, really good.
Have to watch that insane movie again.
Yep. Orbital did the soundtrack for it. And as you're watching the movie, you would think, oh, it's a whole bunch of different tracks and stuff like that. It's 4. It's only 4 tracks of music through the entire movie. The album itself is 45 minutes long. And then they used, I think it was Smack My Bitch Up by The Prodigy in the closing credits. Is it that or Diesel Power? Let's build some arms and legs. Do I want to make... So here's what we're working on. There's the Gustav. There's the Melusine.
Leo 2A7DK said first time seeing Samuel so sinister and dark. Mighty was good.
I'm kind of digging these schemes. It would be neat to show them with the Nutcracker, or Nut Rocker, whatever you want to call it. But at the same time, it would be neat to put them on a separate base. They're not very big, they're 35th scale. The octopus camo looks neat, but I'm kind of digging the winter finish on this one. And we could do some weird brush and sponge work to do this camo. I'm just trying to think of ways I could be different on these. So right arm SA. One forgotten gem of a Sam Neill movie with Nicole Kidman in it as well. Dead Calm. Did I fuck this up? Can you get in there without me having to... You cannot. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna have to really be stupid when I paint this. Because I can put this in, but I'll have to put the head in afterward. That's my own stupidity. Well, I think he also got the files for another ship that 20 years before had a similar history and quite a similar gothic look. He's got the files for that too. So I'll leave the head off. I'll be able to get the glass fit. So that's not a big worry. But the head, I won't be. So we'll leave that off. I got ahead of myself on this one. You get it? No? Okay. But these two suits originally came with this bad boy. I really wish the camera did the weathering on this some justice. That, and it's a little dusty, I think. But I'm happy with how this turned out. Come on, autofocus, show off the cast texture. There we go. But I don't know if I should make one of these, like, to go along with this model. And the other to display on its own. Okay, more music.
At the model student 20 said dust adds to the effect.
Depends on how much dust.
At the model student 20 said nice texturing.
And that was just done with a little Mr. Surfacer stippled on with a brush. You don't need to go thinning out Tamiya putty or anything like that. You just have to know how to work the materials.
At the model student 20 said maybe one to give a tail. Leo 2A7DK said I am looking at the 120 scale fog. Again a gray piece looking at me. And I really want to go crazy on it. Time.
Yeah, I did the Falk in a pseudo-desert British scheme. Okay, let's get the parts going here. I'm doing nothing but talking and bullshitting right now. I'm not actually being productive. Yeah, 500. If you go back in my history, I believe I streamed when I did the stippling on that, and on the Mark 44. So yeah, you can find examples of how I did it.
At the modest student 20 said I have a fault in the stash.
I have a Falk in my shorts. Oh wait, no. No, literally in my YouTube shorts is my Falk diorama that I did years ago. 48 and 50.
At the model student 20 said thumbs up emoji.
Then 41 and 28. And 39, 37. You know, I've never done a Gustav in 1/20th scale.
At the model student 20 said I'm a fault head. Grinning squinting face emoji.
I used to have the Futch Falk. What the fuck was that? What are you doing, Frank? What the hell? Allie! Stop that. She's got the zoomies. She was about to take down some shelves. So I can do this two ways. I can give the Gustav a laser hand. Does the Gustav have that? I thought that was a different version. I could have sworn the Gustav with the laser arm and a regular hand was called something else. No? Okay. We're gonna go with that then, because I'm tired of this Panzerfaust looking shit. I've already got it on my Heinrich. I've got it on the whatchamacallit? The Fledermaus? No, not the Fledermaus. The Hornies. Yeah, I'm getting sick of seeing this Panzerfaust, Panzer Shrek looking crap. It's too on the nose.
At the model student 20 said they have a lot of subtle variants. Leo 2A7DK said my 40k tyrant / alien is however getting some progress. 3 layers of gloss, wings,
Oh, nice.
and remove the wood from the left hand. Want to replace it with a spine and skull to get a potato vibe into it.
I like how it mispronounced your misspelling to pre-tater. That's funny. So, it's like before and after potato. So yeah, right arm will be the one at the hand then. Okay. Yeah, there are a lot of subtle variations, just I'd like to use the one I haven't commonly done before, if I can. Hell, I still have to finish the other Heinrich that I've done. I have to find its binoculars, because it fell down and went boom. And I found all the pieces except one. God, these things are so small in 35th scale. And I'm not going to glue the joints together until I have everything made, because I want to see if there's some limited posability to it. I think their legs come pretty much static, but if I can give a little bit of life to it from the limbs, then I want to do that. In Hasegawa it shows some unusually hard plastic for this kit too. I wish I'd saved the fireball suits from the Luna Diver. I kept them for a while, but when I was doing a clean out, you know, it had been 4 or 5 years, and I'm like, I'm not doing anything with these, so I got rid of them. And that was during my longer Machine and Krieger hiatus. So that's right arm. I didn't really think I'd get back into building these very much. So yeah, I accidentally got rid of them. But having one of those to go with these would be good. You know, have one damaged to like the suit's looking down at it. Like, he won! Okay.
Leo 2A7DK said Freudian slip right. Potato, potato. It's a little fast at sometimes, a foul predator.
So is there no open hand option? What am I seeing? SA 36 and 62. Okay, there is. There we go. There. Okay. And like, it shows it with hands, so it's got to be an option in here. Now I think another company is redoing a lot of the kits in 35th scale. They're coming in like 2 and 3 packs. Okay. Let me see something here. No, I wanted eBay, not that. Yeah, Hasegawa released these two on their own in a set, but there's another company that's been doing them. But I'll be damned if I can remember. It was almost like one of those odd, like, companies like Good Smile. Oh, Kyoto, I think. Yeah. Yep. Or Artpla. They've done the Custer. God, somebody wants $300 for those already? Good lord. Fucking scalpers.
At the Models 220 said I was gonna say wave.
No, Wave has picked up most of the 20th scale line and has repopped it. But there's another series called Artpla that's doing them in 35th scale. 17927.
Leo 2A7DK said there is a little liking here, but making them in 135th is awesome. You can use whatever metal and range to counter.
Yeah, just there was something about the 120th scale. Granted, the scale didn't make it easy to get like add-ons for, but it made you rely on being inventive a lot more, right? Because the one thing I've seen a lot of people fall into when doing this stuff is they get into that mindset of, oh, it's World War II sci-fi. It's not. It's a communist German megacorporation versus an Australian mercenary force. For the most part. There's other factions within, but that's, boil it down for you, that's what it is. It just happens that the kits have a lot of World War II themed stuff, because those are the more prominent kits when they were being kit bashed together. For markings and stuff like that, and the paint schemes seem to fit. And I'm sure somebody from the Well Actually crowd is going to step in on that one if they come across this video in years to come. But that's fine. But I look at the SDR as being based on the DDR in the Cold War. 33, 32. You notice I'm keeping all the bits I'm assembling on the side of the suit they apply to. Just helps me keep it organized while I'm doing this. I don't even know if I'm going to bother putting a texture on the suits in this size, because it would seem almost pointless. But the problem I see people falling into when they have the common scale is it goes back to that inventiveness to make things be different. Because yeah, these are kit bashed and you can identify a lot of the parts, but at the same time they're not used in the way they were originally meant to be used. That helps you hide the part and what it was originally from. And it also makes the models a little bit more unique. But then you get somebody who, say, let's take the nut rocker here. They latch on to the German aspect of the theme. Okay, I'm going to put a completely unchanged Tiger 1 turret on it. Okay, your prerogative, it's sci-fi, but at the same time, that's pretty low effort and feels kind of just blech. Not saying you can't do it, but I've seen it too many times and it's boring. And if you want to do that, go play Paolo Parenti's Dust. That's basically German, you know, sci-fi Panzer 46 here, you know. And it makes more sense to have the common components be like that because they're putting together what they have on hand. Okay. 18 and 10 are the right leg. 11 and 19, okay. So is being on earlier like today working out for you better, Alex? And let me know what your new schedule's going to be when you get back into things. That way, if I can make it a bit more convenient for you, I can. I forgot how fiddly these smaller ones really could be. Or I'm just not enjoying it because my bad motor control skills right now. There's going to be some minor seams to take care of, but they should... I should be able to sand them out once it's all assembled. Who's on my chair? Hi, Mittens. Hi, big guy. You want to get on the table? Show off your paws? But for anybody coming in now, see, I don't always build Humvees. So I'm going to leave the knee and ankle armor off until I've decided what I want to do. That, and I'll need to sand the seams, but I want to at least get the feet built, because we got all the basic components now that I could put this together and get a decent little pose that has something a bit more like expressionate than just that. Who's down there? Oh, we have marbles too? Why are you all down here? This is strange. Hey, be nice. Don't hiss at your brother. What are you getting ready to do? You leave him alone. Hey. Good boy. You be good. You don't be a little brat. Oh, that was a sneeze. Okay. Bless you. Yeah, one thing I can say I like about the kind of ball joints they're using, at least I think that's what I've got to use to glue all these together. Yeah. It'll allow for a bit more, like I was saying, more expression in the poses than the up and down, the singular plain joints that they have in the 1/20th kits. I might be able to do something that feels a bit more organic. Didn't trim that one. Whoopsie! Why aren't you? I could have sworn I cleaned you both up. There we go. I was about to say, damn it, Bobby. Okay, so let's get the feet going first. Because it looks like... Okay, and then those just go into the bottom there. I can flex those to fit. Alright. Yeah, the only thing I don't like is the feet are on a pretty fixed plane. Might be able to do something about that, though. Just a little something to vary it up. That or I could be ruining it. We'll find out. Yeah, just something to knock it back slightly and not make it look exactly like the other leg. Since the foot's on a kind of a ball joint, it'll help level it. If I do something too radical, I can always put some uneven terrain under it or something. I don't know. Modeling out my ass right now. Yeah, just enough variation to make it feel alive. Doesn't have to be anything radical. Radical, man! Oh, wait.
FE model student 27 Radman 1.
I could always cut them apart further, but I really don't feel like sculpting anything. I just want just a little bit of variation, you know? Alright, so... Okay, I have idea. I need peanut. I need singular arm peanut 21. And we'll fit that in here. Okay. Okay, so how much can I do with what you've given me? let's do all this so while the glue's still soft, if I have to rip it apart, I can. Other peanut. So I'll glue it together in the approximation of the pose I want. And then once it dries, I might have to come back and get a little slicey dicey with it. Alex left. No! He probably sat still too long and his computer went to idle. It happens. I think that's what's happening when Castor Labs is saying people have left, is somebody's just gone idle. Nice.
They're neat. I have some resin ones at 135 with pirates. I have a plan for this winter.
I'd like to get more, but I'm not about to buy another Stingray or another Nut Rocker, or, you know, one of the other kits that comes with it. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to give it more life. It's like he's singing an opera. Ah! Anyway. I think the big issue is I can't open the canopy on the Melusine. So there's no way for me to have it like he's talking to the other pilot. And that's the sad thing. They used to be. Hi. Actually, so maybe we'll put this one down a bit. That looks more conversational. Yeah. Like, I didn't get my first Machine and Krieger kit till 2006. Hi. You're back, huh? You tired, Jiggle Wiggle? Yeah?
Student 20 said I built my first one last year.
But I'd always seen them because my father used to get the Squadron mail order catalogs. And you know, that was my Sears catalog at Christmas, really, when I was older. And I'd always, you know, I'd circle him, and he would never get them. I don't know if he just didn't like sci-fi or what. So once I finally got into it, I got into it kind of overboard. And between that and the direction the community at large took back in like 2009 or 10, I kind of stepped away from it. I lost enthusiasm for it. And I know people say, oh, you shouldn't let others do that. I had like 5 other things going on in my life at that time. Yeah, the camel, I have to say I wasn't very impressed with after building it. It didn't exist when I started building them. It had just been announced and come out and all that. But there's just certain personalities within the community that just rubbed me the wrong way. I got tired of it, and I've actually, since I've started building this again, they've shown up in my feeds, and I've had to block them, you know, just because they're really pretentious sounding. Yeah, the Luna Diver Stingray? Yeah, that's a good one. Like you mentioned a certain name when I did my Luna Diver short. If you go back and watch how he paints his, I'm sorry, there's a lot of extra overwork being done in that is being sold as the right way to do it. And it's like, no. But that's one of the people I've tried to remove from visibility. It's like, it really hurts the stomach just knowing that that's being done out there like that. And it's like, yeah, I can't really say more without naming names, and I don't want to name names.
At B Model Student 20 said he's a bit hand orange covering eyes.
A bit?
At B Model Student 20 said rolling on the floor laughing emoji.
I wish there was a forum we could talk in where it wouldn't be broadcast to the world, because I got stories. I really do. Keep in mind, the stories are from just my perspective and reading what's been out there. So validation is a bit of a different matter on that, but it's still... it's still about the optics of it. And to me, it's not a good look. But that's me.
Student 20 said, I bet.
And I know for a fact there's some people in that group that do not like me.
At the model student 20 said, I've gotten pinged for not being to code, so to speak, with accuracy. Rolling on the floor laughing.
In this regard, it's not even
Rolling on the floor
to
laughing.
code. It's more. God, how can I say this really? Yeah, it's very hard to discuss. Or I could put it out there as, okay, you don't like it, that's fine. But if I'm seeing you this way, I know I'm probably not the only one seeing you this way. The attitude that this person has comes across as a pretentious prick because of their access to the artist who originated this and their so-called mastery of the techniques.
At the model student 20
Right?
said, when I give a S exclamation mark at.
But that is, again, the optics. It's how you're seen, it's how you come across. And the fact that they are putting techniques out there that, one, people have been using for decades. Two, trying to speak from a position of authority as if they are the sole master of it. And three, they're using their proximity to the original artist to further their means. They're not doing anything on their own laurels that I can see, except emulating what's come before.
At Georgia Davis 7629 said, name and shame, haha.
No, I don't think we're there yet, because I've got plenty of fucking skeletons in my closet somebody could throw at me. Not that I'm too worried about that. It's not like I'm a thief or anything. No, his books are shit too.
Grinning face with sweat emoji.
So look at their MK44 build. They're trying to do the cast texture thing, right? There's cast texture, and then there's delaminating steel due to rust. And they went as far as to do the delaminating steel look. Like there's no, I've never, even the worst Russian cast metal has never had clumps and globs and bumps on the surface of it that I've seen this person put on theirs. There's giving the effect of a texture, and then there's over-exaggerating it to the point of lunacy. But then they'll come back, oh, it's all about the style. It's the... No. Listen to what you're saying when you did the video, and... Yeah. I don't like the presentation. I don't like the pretentiousness. It reeks of ass kissing, to be honest. And the same could be said for me. There's people out there that probably don't like me. That's fine. They can watch or not watch. They can hate watch. I don't give a shit. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, if I were to do a cast texture in this scale on this, it would look like that clumpy look, because I'd have to over-exaggerate it so much to get it to show. I can show you basically the Heinrich in this in 1/20th scale with what I call a suitable looking cast texture. And yeah, you could say, oh, it's sci-fi. You do what you want. Yes, it's sci-fi. Do what you want. But don't also come across that you're saying what other people are doing is not the right way to build that specific model, right? I don't know. The look, the way it's described, the way it's presented feels very disingenuous, inauthentic. I really can't put my finger on it. I don't like it. It rubs me the wrong way.
At Model Student 20 said, in my universe they're comprised of printable components, not cast. So there.
There you go. So I'm not doing texture, I'm filling seams. And you can still cast polymers and ceramics. But like, I think I gave a description once that maybe they have a cast outer metal shell, right? So that if you need to make modifications or attach things to it, you have something to weld onto. Meanwhile, what's inside is still ceramic to save weight. I guess what I'm trying to say is you get a very my way is the only way vibe from how they're describing it. And yet they're using techniques that people have been using for decades. No. No choo-choo. No choo-choo. Yeah. Bad kitty. Actually, I should have just painted over all the rest of the seams and gotten them ready too while I had this out. Doo-doo-doo. Like somebody could ask, you know, why didn't I put a cast texture on here? And I've already explained it to you guys, but I'd say in this size, for the components as they are, you wouldn't see it. Look at a cast exhaust manifold on a car, and we'll use that as a baseline for your typical cast texture. Even an M60 turret, for being cast, and the hull for being cast, are relatively smooth. Yeah, you can get away with adding a little bit to an M60 in model kit form, but it would still be very subtle, very... You could almost bury it in paint if you're not careful. So you got to over exaggerate it in 35th scale regardless. But if you were to take that same texture and shrink it down to 35th scale, even in 24th scale, it's not that visible. Even Russian shit, I've climbed over plenty of T-55s and T-34s. And to be honest, once you get to these scale distances, most of those textures disappear. You might see a little disruption to the surface, but that's about it. You know, even Zimmerit is not as pronounced as you see it usually done in 35th scale. Bingo. Absolutely. Not so big that you're seeing it from across the room without glasses, you know. A lot of these I'll be able to scratch with the X-Acto knife and scrape them off, or just blend them out. These I'll have to sand, so I'll add a little more. We'll give this guy a day to dry. But the thing is, having conversations with other streamers who have also built models in this particular subject class, they feel a similar way towards the individual we're discussing. That he's allowed certain things to kind of go to his head, and a little bit of pretentiousness has crept into his work and his way of speech and his presentation. Because they kind of present them as the god of the subject, when, yeah, fine, if you're going to replicate what someone did 30 years ago down to a T, then yeah. What now? Sorry, I missed something. Well, that could have been bad. Why is it I feel like I'm working in camera, yet nothing I'm doing is in camera? You can do it with 1000. 1000 just means the grain of the pigment and the primer is going to be smaller. Because what you're doing is... Okay, just give me a second to get this glued back together. I wish I had something to demonstrate on. Give me a sec. Let me see if I've got something I need to put some on anyway. Pause real quick. I need to walk around. Just one moment.
At the Model Student 20 said coffee.
Alright, I'm back. God damn it. Maybe not. Get out from under there. Alright, wasn't there something I had to fix on here too? Thought there was. Oh. Anywho. So I've got my 16th scale M109 out, because there is a part on here I can do that with. There's a couple parts I can do that with. Aha! That's what I have to fix. Clear a spot. Okay. Muzzle brake. Do some sanding until he gets back. I really don't want to ruin that one. We'll use this one. It's been ruined by everything else. This isn't going to hurt it much. I've already got that glued on. Are you back yet? Right, actually, I'm going to grab a snack too then. One moment.
At the Model Student 20 Sedia Painting Radios.
Alright, we're back. Yes, Luna's trouble? So we got the muzzle brake off my M109. I have to do some cast texture on it anyway. It's in 1/16 scale, but the idea is the same. But this will allow me to do it and exaggerate it so you can see it. But the same thing will work with the 1000 as the 500. It's not so much the grit of the filler that we're worried about. It's how you're doing it. You need to put it on like that, right? And just keep doing it as it's drying. As you want to put it on a little thick. As it's drying, it'll begin to grab itself and pull up peaks, right? You may even have to stop and let it dry a little bit before you continue. But you're using the fact that as it's thickening, you're pulling on it. Kind of like how they do that texture on your ceiling with the asbestos stuff that you got to get scraped off now because it was cool in the 70s, but it's not anymore. The popcorn ceilings. Kind of like that, but smaller. But the more you tap it as it dries, the more it peaks when you pull away, and you'll feel it sticking to the brush. And it works with 500 or 1000, but you just got to keep working it. And it's those peaks that give it the texture. And if you get it a little too rough looking, you can always go back and sand it down a little, or let it really dry thoroughly and maybe brush a little bit of lacquer thinner over it, and that'll knock it down. But you see how I just keep going over it and over it? Come on, autofocus. And then you wind up with that. I exaggerated it for this, but the 1000 will do that too. So to knock it down, though, you can just brush over it like that while it's still kind of tacky. Tap it with your finger. See? Come on. Autofocus. Come on. No? Okay. But you see how I knocked it down there? And then even a layer of paint or 3 will help hide that. But the real key is uniformity, making sure that what you're doing looks uniform. Because like I said, I've never seen a cast texture look that rough and shitty. Ever. Like, no foundry in the world. That would impart more defects and impurities into the casting than, yeah, you have no idea. That would just...
At Model Student 20 said I sprayed tons of popcorn, not asbestos, the styrofoam's tough.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to give it a try, there you go. And you can do it with 1000 as well. Just get yourself a good old ratty square brush like that and give it a try. Because what you're wanting is how the surfacer itself gets tacky as it dries. It's not so much the grain of the surfacer, but just as it gets tacky and dries. The finer grain might also result in a finer texture as well. But I know you can do it with both. You can do it with even the 1200. It doesn't have to be specifically 500. I've done priming with 500 before and not had an issue. I'm thinking for Friday's stream, though, we'll probably go with Figure Friday. And we might paint and work on a figure that day. And this will shrink a little as it dries too, which will take down the texture more.
Student 20 said, well, I'm gonna done examining face with sweat emoji, thumbs up emoji.
You're gonna what? What you going to do?
At the model student 20 said, figure Friday, thumbs up emoji.
Ow. I'll try and have it earlier in the day like today too. Unless a lot of you are going to be working that day, and then I'll have to do it later.
At the model student 20 said,
Yeah, just find a tank turret or a hull or something. Practice on the inside if you don't want to risk ruining the outside.
At the model student 20 said, I'm not working Friday.
Okay. But I think what gets me most about the whole thing we were discussing before, though, is it really feels like they're relying on the ignorance of people to sell techniques as their own, hence the books. And I bet if you take any of the techniques being discussed in any of those books, you could Google that term or Google that technique and find articles probably going back into the 70s and 80s discussing it. I think I have a book around here somewhere that could even show you there. And you don't even need Mr. Surfacer. All you need is this. Let me see if I got a scrap of something here. Hold on. Actually, you know what? I do have a scrap of something. I don't have a scrap of something. Give me a few ticks. Just hold on. Yeah, here we go. Pretend this is not a canvas roof. I'm not going to use this for anything anyway. So just get a bit of liquid cement, and the idea is exactly the same. Put it on the plastic, starts eating into the plastic. So what do you do then? What is the plastic after that? Sticky. You go back with the brush over the sticky plastic, and you're essentially causing it to do the same thing. It dries a little quicker, so this technique can be a bit more haphazard, but you'll still wind up with that same rough peak texture. The only difference is, this day and age, I find it a bit wasteful for the cement. Clean out the brush from the plastic that's possibly on it. But let's get this under. See? That also imparts a similar rough texture. Probably lays down a bit more. Now, if I were to do cast texture on this suit, I'd probably use the glue method, because that would be a bit more subtle, a bit more to scale. But again, I don't really think I'm going to do that. I think we're just going to leave it as is. It's okay to change things up. Actually, maybe I'll see if I can find or buy another copy of it. I think it was called The Art of Model Making by Shep Payne. Or How to Build and Scratch Build Models. A lot of the techniques that we're using now were basically spearheaded by him. And they've just kind of changed hands over the years. And I'm sure somebody else is out there doing it before him. Here, give me a sec. Let me go to Amazon. Now you guys got my brain going down a rabbit hole again. I put this... before I was on YouTube, I put this link up on my Twitch back then. So it was the How to Build Dioramas book, but it covered everything. Figure conversion, scratch building, detailing, texturing. So there's this book. Hopefully it's not too long. And some of his models are owned by the Tamiya Corporation, and they're on display in the Tamiya Museum. Why did it only go twice? Okay. Weird. Is Twitch down? Or no, it didn't go to YouTube. Weird. Is YouTube up? Yeah, it says it is. Weird. Maybe it's just not allowed because it's so long. So, I don't know how I'm going to get that to anybody. But yeah, look up How to Build Dioramas by Shep Payne. It's $32. Yeah, for some reason that link didn't go to there. At least not that I could see. Or did it go and just not repeat? I don't know. Yeah, it didn't go through. Alright, but all together with the stream I did earlier before I had to reset, we're sitting at about 4 hours. Yeah, it would. So there's that one to consider too. And it's one that a lot of people overlook, probably because we're so in the mindset of using specific things for specific tasks that nobody goes back and says, well, why can't I just do that this way? Why not? You can. Yeah, this is the bigger beast I've been working on. going to be an IDF one. But I think I'm going to wrap up. I'm kind of running out of steam anyway. I got to make some lunch and eat. And it's been 4-ish hours, almost. So yeah. I'll be back on Friday if I'm not on earlier. And I'll see you then. We'll do some figure work on Friday unless something else changes and I want to do something else. So y'all have a good day. Thanks for hanging out. Alex, if you're still here, thank you again for the donation. And I'll see you all Friday.